Assalamu alaikum. My name is Naz Qureshi, and thank you for joining us today in honor of the International Day of the Elimination of Violence Against Women. I would just like to acknowledge that we are meeting here on Treaty 6 ground. As Canadians and those living in Canada, we remind ourselves as well of the calls for justice in the cases of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. Joining us today is Shafia Khan, House Manager of Nisa Homes here in the city of Edmonton. Assalamu alaikum, Shafia, and welcome.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you so much for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you do in the organization that you work for?
Yes, so I am the house manager at Nisa Homes here in Edmonton. Nisa Homes is a women's shelter for women and children. We have 6 homes across Canada. We have one more opening up, inshallah, in Ottawa. So in Edmonton, we've been open for just over a year now. And we cater to Muslim women, but we're open to everyone. We're culturally sensitive. We accept everyone. And the stay at our homes is 3 months. And so in that time, we help women fleeing, if they're usually our clients are fleeing from domestic violence. There's also some that are fleeing from homelessness, displaced, just refugees, non-status. So in that time, we help them get independent by the time they leave us in that 3 months. So we work with them, in the homes on a daily basis. They have caseworkers, and we just help them with that process and that transition after 3 months.
MashaAllah, that's great. Shafia, I read the other day, something like 1 in 3 women are victims of domestic abuse. Do you have any numbers that you can share of the women who are coming through the doors of Nisa Homes?
Yeah, so across the board, I think about 50% of our clients are usually fleeing domestic violence. Here in Edmonton, I can say that this year we've had, for this year so far, we've had about 116 inquiries of just people, looking for help, looking for placement, shelter, or help in any other way. Majority of them are fleeing domestic violence. There's the statistic is it takes about a woman 7 times or so. She tries 7 times before she can actually, make that decision to leave. So if you look at those numbers and the kind of numbers that we get and the phone calls that we get, and I'm sure, this whole COVID thing, it hasn't been helping with that. It's definitely created an increase in our numbers. So yeah, that just shows to you that that's just local numbers, right? That's just here in Edmonton. So it's definitely a problem.
Sure, absolutely. Shafia, I read the other day, I was reading an article, and I read that Muslim Americans are more likely than other faith groups to report crimes of domestic abuse to their local clergy. So they're expecting religious leaders to play a critical role in resolving issues of domestic violence, as much a role as law enforcement officials. I mean, what do you think when I say that? Is there anything challenging about that, or do you find it that they feel that there is a solution, a faith-based solution to domestic violence?
I think there is, but it has happened. It has happened. We've seen it sometimes when women go to, leaders or whoever it is that they go to for advice, and they're told to just be patient. They're told to have sabr. They're told, oh, just go back. He'll be okay. Or they're said, it's said to them that, oh, that can't be him. He's in the mosque every day. So yeah, it's definitely an issue, and I think there's a lot. It's a responsibility for the leaders of the community that they need to acknowledge that, if a woman is coming to you and saying something, you need to believe her.
So Shafia, when you mentioned patience, I completely and wholeheartedly agree with you. Sabr is a beautiful concept within Islam, but it's not to keep people, especially women, oppressed. It's not righteousness to keep suffering.
Yeah, of course. And like I said, if it takes a woman 7 times to leave her home, it's very difficult for someone to go outside of their marriage or outside of their home, whether it's your parents that you're receiving that abuse from, or your children or your husband, whatever relationship it is. Like, imagine how hard it is to go to someone, a complete stranger, and tell them about it and say, hey, help me. So you need to take that into account, the amount of courage this woman has had to come out and ask for help. And to just, brush it off and say, you need to be patient, or you need to work on yourself a little bit more. I mean, that's just unfair.
I think definitely Nisa Homes is a great initiative in that it's creating a safe space for Muslim women who are fleeing domestic violence, as you said. I think that's really important. Thank you, Shafia, for the work that you do. Is there anything in closing remarks that you'd like to say?
Yeah, I think, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for this. But I think I would like to say just, Nissa Homes is just one home, and we can only fit so many people in there. Like I said, we have a lot of inquiries. We have a wait list. We have people calling. There's a lot of people out there for help. So I would say, to anyone listening, um, it starts with the community, right? It starts from your own homes. You need to be able to recognize these things and not dismiss it. And we can only help so many people in the shelter, right? But if you see these problems and you see these things happening in your homes or with your friends, if someone comes to you and she asks for help, please help her, because it takes a lot for her to ask.
I would just like to add some closing remarks that as a community, we need to start taking action. We need to stop brushing this issue of domestic violence under the rug. We need to stop telling victims to have sabr or patience and to put up with the abuse. Because this contradicts the direct command of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He told us once, help your brother if he is the oppressed or the oppressor. So the companions asked him, Ya Rasulullah, we know how to help if he's being oppressed, but how do we help when he is the oppressor? And the Prophet ﷺ said, by stopping him from oppressing. By stopping him from oppressing. In another hadith, the Prophet said, if you see something wrong, try to change it with your hand, meaning by taking action. And if you cannot do that, then try to change it with your tongue, meaning by speaking out against it. And if that doesn't work, then at least hate it in your heart. And that is the least of faith. Here we see our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is linking action with faith. Our religion does not tolerate oppression in any way, shape, or form. And I have learned myself through speaking with these wonderful guests that domestic violence is not a religious problem, but rather it is a socio-psychological one. May Allah make it easy for all of us, men, women, and children who may be victims of domestic abuse or gender violence. Assalamu alaikum. Until next time, signing off.